Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to start a special reading vlog, and this will be the first one of a series, I hope. There will hopefully be 5 of these throughout 2022, and this will be the first one. I set myself a goal of reading 5 authors for the first time this year, and with each one of those the goal is to read one of their books, the first one they published or the most popular one that is out there, and just see whether these authors are for me. If I read more of their books this year, that's awesome, but the goal is to read one. And so the first one I'm picking up is Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marillier. I have seen a lot of people love this book. This is fantasy romance, which I'm not a big romance reader, but I think these books are, or at least Daughter of the Forest is more on the fantasy side and has some romance, but we'll see about that. So far, I'm about 15% into the audiobook. We are following a girl called Sorka, and she has 6 older brothers. She is the daughter of a lord, and that lord is basically in an endless battle with the Britons. The Britons have attacked their holy sites. It's like certain islands, and so they're fighting back and they're trying to win back these holy islands, and that's like the only goal the Lord has. And his children, because of that, grow up quite wild. They are in the forest a lot, and especially Sorka, who when she was born, her mom died. She's the one that I would say grows up the wildest, so she's not like a typical female character of these historical times. She loves herbs, she loves healing, and yeah, we follow her on this journey. This is also a retelling of a fairy tale, but so far, up until the point where I listened, the theme of this fairy tale hasn't happened yet, so I'm not quite sure how big of a role it will play. One thing I have to say is that I love the writing style. I think that the writing is very reminiscent of fairy tales and these kind of longer ago historical fictions, which I really enjoy. What I don't like is the narrator of the audiobook, to be honest. I don't think that she does a very good job. I feel like she always makes Sorka sound kind of whiny, and she also pronounces the name quite weird. And if I remember correctly, I watched a video of someone who actually knows how to pronounce these names, and that it is pronounced more like Sorka. Not that I'm doing a better job here, but I think that the pronunciation in the audiobook is wrong, but I'm not quite sure. It does sound weird, is what I'm saying. So yeah, I do enjoy the story, even though it is quite slow, and so far I have no idea where it's going, apart from that I expect at one point these fairy tale themes will appear, but I don't know how and I don't know when. And right now the story is like very different. It goes into a very different direction. I really like the way that other smaller stories are built into this first part, because Sorka is also a storyteller, and she has a patient, and while she's taking care of that person, she's telling them stories, and yeah, I really like that. So I'm really in the mood for a long, slow fantasy book, so I hope this one will be great. And I'm also afraid to be the one person who doesn't love this book, so we'll see about that. I keep you updated. So, a quick update on The Daughter of the Forest. I am now more than a quarter of the way through, and this is a very long book, so that actually took a while. I said before that it is quite slow, and that definitely is something that is true for the first quarter. But right before we hit that 25% mark, the fairy tale themes that I talked about actually come to play in the story, which is very good, because the problem with me is that if I know that there is something going to happen in a book, I will wait for it, and I will be very impatient and be like, yeah, that's all fine and stuff, but when does the actual things happen? So I'm very glad that now we get into the story that I was expecting, and some of these things that I'm gonna say now are a tiny little bit spoilery, but I think if you have heard anything about this book, you know what's gonna happen, so just so you know. But yeah, I think about a fifth into the book, the stepmother character appears, Lady Una. And basically, she is this very beautiful but very powerful being. We're not quite sure what she is, but she has a certain kind of magic, and she has some sinister plans, even though we don't really know what her plans are yet. And so that part where she appeared in the household and Sorka was supposed to go back to her home after caring for that patient I mentioned, that was very, very hard for me to listen to. Fortunately, it is quite short, because I have an evil stepmother. I know it's so cliche, but I do. And the way that the tension was in the household, and the way that these children didn't have any power to protect themselves against this woman who just came there and decided to marry their father, that was not great. I don't like reading about that kind of stuff, and I don't know why I didn't anticipate that this would happen. But as I said, fortunately it isn't a very long part, and then the children decide to make a plan to fight back. And that ends up in a curse, as you probably know. And so I'm right at that point now where the curse happened, and Sorka is told what she has to do to reverse the curse, which I think is gonna be the main plot now for the book. And yeah, I'm still really enjoying it. Still not enjoying the audiobook narrator. She makes the Lady Una sound so much more likable than whiny little Sorka. But on the other hand, one of the things that Sorka has to do now is not talk while she fulfills her tasks. So I think I'll get rid of her tiny little voice now a little bit in the audiobook, so that's great. But yeah, all of the other stuff is still very interesting to me, and I really feel now that we're into this curse bit that I was expecting from the book. I'm so much more intrigued and willing to keep listening to it. So, hello everyone. I'm now 50% through Daughter of the Forest, and I wanted to give you an update. Now, I haven't watched back onto the last update. I feel like a ton has happened since that one. This book is very long, so there is a lot of things happening. I feel like in the second quarter there's definitely more happening than in the first one. I feel like in the first one I was just waiting for the thing to happen, you know? But now we're like right in the middle, and there's a lot of dramatic and horrible stuff that happens in this first book. So yeah, definitely a big trigger warning for sexual violence and also for harming animals. So yeah, both of those things were quite visceral in a way. So if you want to stay away from these topics, I think I would recommend not reading this book. Yeah, so we're basically following Sorka into a different part of the world in this the second quarter of the book. And I really enjoyed that. I think that changing the scenery definitely helped. So yeah, I'm much more intrigued by the story now, and I definitely still am waiting where the kind of romance part will fall, because I think usually the books by Juliet Marillier are known for the romance, and with this one we still don't have like a clear romantic interest. Like, it could go two ways. It's not a love triangle by any means, but I feel like there is possibilities. But yeah, we'll see. If it goes into the direction that I think it will go, I think I'm gonna enjoy it, but we'll see about that. So yeah, the romance thing is still very much on the back burner. I think I enjoy Sorcha as a main character more now. As I said in the beginning, the audiobook narrator makes her sound really whiny, but I think that with the character development that we see in the second quarter, Sorcha definitely gets a lot stronger. She really grows as a person, and I've kind of lost track how old she would be right now, because like it's very hard for me to keep track of that in an audiobook where it's like, oh, it's summer, oh, it's winter, oh, it's spring, you know? So it's a little bit hard for me to really pinpoint how old she would be at the moment that I'm listening right now. But I think that she has definitely grown up a lot. She has suffered through a lot as well. And I really like her interacting with some of the characters that we have now after this kind of change of scenery I talked about. Oh, my bird is here to visit me. There she was. Yeah, my birds. So yeah, I do enjoy that. Where I left off the audiobook right now is on a very like traumatic point. So I haven't really started on the traumatic things yet, but I know that they will happen any minute now. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, with the brothers, I think it's so well done how Juliet Marillier manages that you can actually picture every one of her brothers. I mean, that's 6 people, but she all makes them very unique. So you can definitely distinguish them very easily. They have become more of like a backstory thing right now, so they're not really in the front of the story right now. I'm a little bit sad about that, because some of the brothers are so intriguing and I want to spend more time with them. Like Connor, for example, I think his character is so fascinating and I really want to learn more, but we still have 50% of the book to go, so I hope that will happen. Also, there's one with a very weird name. Finbar? Is that it? That's how the narrator says it. Also very interesting character. I'm a bit worried about his storyline. We'll see about that. And then I also like the oldest brother, Liam. So yeah, I'm very intrigued to see how they will be integrated into this story a bit more again. But I think for now they're not the main focus. But yeah, I just feel like Juliet Marillier is really taking the time to flesh out all of these characters, and I really enjoy that. So yeah, apart from the like horrible things that happened, I am very much enjoying myself with this audiobook, and I think I will update you again when I have listened to a little bit more, whenever that will be. So yeah, talk to you soon. So I'm almost 75% through Daughter of the Forest. I still have half an hour to go until it is 75%, but I thought I'd just give you an update right now because I feel like it. So basically, I think in my last update I said that the kind of area where the book was set had changed, so we were in a different area of the world in this third quarter of the book, and I initially enjoyed that, but it does get very claustrophobic again, and I'm struggling right now. I gotta be honest. Like, up until now, I was like, yeah, this is probably like a 3.5 star read for me. I am enjoying my time, but it's just way too long. But I'm getting to the point now where I still have 7 hours of this book left. And I can't wait to be done with it, because it is a kind of pity fest. The main character is suffering so much, and I guess it is kind of inherent in the story. Like, if you read the description of the book, you're probably like, oh, that main character is gonna suffer. But I can only take so much, and I am reaching the point where I just don't care anymore, and where I just eye roll and be like, oh yeah, the next bad thing is gonna happen now. And I feel like there just isn't enough to kind of balance it out right now. There was kind of a cute scene when I listened to it this morning, where they went to this beach, and obviously I can't really spoil anything, but if you know, you know, the beach, the mermaid tail, stuff like that, which definitely was something more positive, but it never is really positive. And yeah, right now I am at the point where there's this like summer picnic in the evening, and she sneaks off, and kind of the uncle of Hugh realizes what he thinks she's been doing. And I'm just not in the mood to go even deeper into the suffering. I'm not. And I hope that this will kind of end differently than it looks right now at the point where I'm at. But yeah, I just feel like drained by all the bad things that are happening to the character. And yeah, basically I want to see her succeed. I want to see her overcome. I want to see her finish that freaking tasks she has. And one thing I also realized, which I just don't enjoy it so much, I love stories about characters not talking. So not miscommunication, but just like in general, characters that for some reason or not are not speaking. That's a trope I absolutely love. So for example, I really liked All the Truth That's in Me. I really liked what's it called? The Sea of Tranquility, and like other books like that, where the main character for some reason does not speak. And so in this book, we have that trope too. The main character is not talking. But in a way, she's still talking so much, and in a way that sometimes feels very dumb to me. And I don't really like how it is done, because like she has very strict orders not to speak, and she has been warned to use other methods of communication, but I feel like she does all the time. And the way that she is kind of signing and some people understand, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's not really explained what she's signing, just what she means, and then the characters understand. And some of these things, I have no idea how you would sign them. And I have this issue where I lose my voice, like sometimes in winter. It's just something to do with my, like, I don't know, throat. I just lose my voice, can't talk for a week. And I know how fucking hard it is if you don't have like a real sign language to sign what you mean. And I think it's just way too easy. The other characters understand her way too easily all the time. And at the same time, I would be so much more worried the way she communicates with a lot of people. So yeah, that's just something that doesn't really add up to me. And I think if you introduce something like a character not speaking, it should you know, be meaningful. And I feel like in this book it is just done for like very specific scenes where the main character can't explain herself, but in like so many other scenes she's perfectly able to communicate whatever she wants. So that's just something that's like really, really frustrating to me. And yeah, still not very much enjoy the narrator of the audiobook as well. I would not recommend the audiobook, but yeah. Okay, so that's it for this update. I don't want to keep you for too long. I have 7 freaking hours to go still, so I probably will not finish this book this month, which I thought I could, but no, I don't think I will. So yeah, I'll update you when I'm done. Wish me luck. So it is time for the final verdict, because I just finished The Daughter of the Forest. Finally. It took me almost a month, but that's fine. So what did I think of the book? I think that the last quarter was definitely kind of a bumpy road for me. So I struggled with some parts, and then I was relieved with some other parts and loved some parts, and then I struggled again. And I think at the end it all comes down to the main character for me and the way that the story is structured. The main character, for me personally, is just not a character that I love in books. I think there is definitely merit to characters like that, but for me personally, Sorka as the main character just wasn't fierce enough. I think that she was portrayed as very strong, but she was only ever strong in her head, and I wanted her to take that strength out into the world as well, and not just the strength to endure, because that's typically a strength that a lot of women get, you know, portrayed as. I don't know. But I wanted her to be strong in other ways as well, and I think that she was not. And that's just something that bothers me personally. Apart from that, the ending is a lot of talking and a lot of men talking. And you might think that, well, Sorka doesn't speak, so who else is gonna talk? But like at the ending, she can speak again, and she doesn't. And usually she gets told by her brothers that she shouldn't. And that was just so annoying. I really wanted her to break out of that at the end. Obviously her like way of suffering and stuff like that, it makes sense within the boundaries of her task. But I thought that after that was done, and I hope that's not a spoiler for you, but like every task gets done at some point in a fantasy novel. And I thought that after that she would use her voice to start to speak out, and she doesn't. And that was so frustrating to me. I think that the romance worked in some parts for me. The romance is especially prevalent in this last quarter of the book. It worked in some parts, it did not work in others, especially towards the end. I felt like that the age difference feels massive with these two characters. I felt like Sorka, she's 16. She reads much younger in my opinion, even though she went through so much. And the love interest reads so old. Like he reads like he's well into his 30s. I don't know, I think he's supposed to be younger, but I don't think it ever says how old he is. And yeah, it was just a bit icky to me at the end there, especially like right at the end, you know. I don't want to spoil it, but you know, with these romancy plots, there's always something happening at the end to make it all perfect. And it's something I don't like, and it's something that I think was way too early. I know that this is historical fantasy, and in history it worked that way. But yeah, it's just not something I enjoy very much in my fiction today. So I think mostly these things that bothered me have to do with the age of the book, because it is an older novel. It has been written quite a while ago. So I think that's totally fine, but I think that I can also say that I did not enjoy these aspects, even though they were probably, you know, received differently when the book was written. Also, something, I don't know if I said it already, but something that really bothered me is that the author uses violence against animals a lot to show you that a character is evil. And I did not enjoy that. I think that there's different kind of evil people and not all of them harm animals, and I just don't need so many harmed animals in my books. That was something that was just really hard to read about as well. There's other things that are hard to read about in this novel as well, especially in the like power dynamics of men and women in this book. And I thought that there could have been done more, because Sorka is kind of always at the receiving end, and she's never really in a position of power, even with her brothers who claim to be her protectors. And while I loved her brothers at the beginning of the book, I hated them at the end. I thought they were all just so annoying. So yeah, that was kind of sad. Overall, I decided to give this book 3.5 stars. I think it definitely is enjoyable, and I know that a lot of people love this book. It has so high ratings on Goodreads, so don't let me deter you from reading it, but it was my favorite. And I'm not quite sure whether I will read more books by this author or not. I might one day, when I'm in the mood for like a really long book that probably doesn't need to be that long, but we'll see. So yeah, that's it for this reading vlog. It was the first one of its kind, so I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon with another author I will try. Maybe, we'll see. So bye!